the Go Gopher Podcast with Mike Grimm, episode number 138. I am Mike Grimm, voice of the Golden Gophers, and welcome back to the podcast. We're talking Golden Gopher football this week with one of the stars of last weekend's 48-0 win over Rhode Island. You're going to love hearing from Jack Henderson, who had 2 tackles, a fumble recovery, and a pick-6 interception in Saturday's victory. He's awesome, and I promise you're going to love the conversation with the man from Mandeville, Louisiana. Our Go Gopher podcast is presented by alumni-owned Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. If you're a business founder planning to exit your business, start by contacting Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. Sunbelt serves more businesses up to $5 million in revenue than anyone, and True North M&A serves companies with revenues up to $150 million. You can get a confidential, no-cost, no-obligation business valuation started today. Make the most of your life's work. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com today. Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union is also a big sponsor of the Go Gopher podcast. Life math is complicated, and Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union makes it easier with local financial experts available to help in person or virtually. Go to affinityplus.org/Go Gophers for more info, and they're proud to support and sponsor our player profile with Jack Henderson today. Longtime Gopher sports supporter Cub is a proud sponsor of the Go Gopher podcast. In a hurry? Don't worry. Cub delivers. Get fresh meat, produce, everyday essentials, and more delivered to your door. Cub is the official grocer of the Golden Gophers and proud to support Gopher athletics for over 20 years. We're podcasting episode 138 from the Aquarius Home Services studio. We invite you to subscribe to the podcast. It's free to do so. You can go back and listen to previous Go Gopher podcasts as well. Last episode, for example, we heard from 4 of the newest members of the M Club Hall of Fame, including Don Lucia and Joel Maturi. This week, we're talking Golden Gopher football with Gopher nickelback Jack Henderson when we come back.
I'm Clay Geary, walk-on turned scholarship wide receiver for Gopher football.
And I'm Ben Utek, U of M alumni, Super Bowl champion, and Tony Dungy Uncommon Award winner.
We understand championship culture, which is why we're part of the True North family of companies.
True North invests in only elite teams, like the champion team at Sunbelt Business Advisors, Minnesota's largest seller of companies. To learn more about True North and our diverse family of independently owned companies, visit TrueNorthEquityPartners.com.
When we say that Cub milk is the freshest in town, we mean it. Less than 48 hours from farm to store fresh. We guarantee 7 days or more of freshness. It all starts with local dairy farmers who take great care in making sure all the cows are happy and healthy. We support local farm families 365 days a year. And that makes our milk even more delicious. So you always get the freshest milk and the biggest smiles.
It's episode 138 of the Go Gopher podcast, and we are talking football for the Golden Gophers. Jack Henderson, a safety / linebacker / nickelback / I don't know if there's some teams call it the star, the buck. I don't know. There's all kinds of different names. Good to see you, Jack.
Good to see you, sir.
What do we call it? Is there a specific name for your position?
We call it the nickelback here.
The nickelback.
Yep.
Fair enough. That's pretty self-explanatory. Well, your first visit on our Go Gopher podcast, Louisiana native, is it Mandeville? Is that how we pronounce your hometown?
Yes, Mandeville, Louisiana.
Excellent. I'm going to ask you about your upbringing in your home state and all of that a little bit later, but we got to talk about this 48-0 win over Rhode Island last weekend. You had a fumble recovery. You had a pick-6. You had to have some fun out there.
Yes, I think we all had fun out there as a team. It was a great experience.
What is a game like that? How much can that help? I've always thought that every team needs one of those just to feel good, get a lot of guys in, build confidence. Take me through heading in, what your mindset was, and then once the game was over, what your mindset was.
Heading into the game, we were all stressing execution because in the previous week there was some lack of that. So it was mainly just focusing on us. What can we do better as a team? And just going into the game was just executing, doing your job. You know, you don't have to chase plays. If you just do your job consistently, then the plays will come to you. And you saw a bunch of guys make a bunch of great plays. And I think it was a huge morale boost for the team. And just guys getting out there, getting more comfortable on a week-to-week basis is super important.
Yeah, and nowadays with the transfer portal and different things happening, there is a kind of a melding point, right, where 100%. It isn't necessarily like years ago you'd have. Now you guys do have some returning starters, which helps, but there's also some new additions that get mixed in. So it's important this time of year to get everybody on the same page and find that balance, right?
100%, yeah. And fall camp does take care of most of that, but also the culture here when guys come in, and like you said, the returning guys, we get with them and make sure they know how we handle business here and get them acquainted. And I think it's a great system. And we had a bunch of guys step up, that were coming from the portal. So
you walk out of the stadium on Saturday with your chest puffed, feeling great about from here to wherever the season takes you then.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned the culture. When you got here last year, you were at Southeastern Louisiana the previous 3 years. What was that like to get accustomed to it? Because it is a different – this is unlike a lot of football
100%.
programs and how it's run. So how much transitional time did it take, and who were maybe some of the veterans who, slapped you on the side of the helmet and said, here's how stuff happens here?
Right, really just getting with Cody Lindenberg. He's been here, 5 years now? And so he's a great leader, first off, but he knows everything that we do in this program like the back of our hand. So he was, especially Tyler Newman, right, in the safety room last year, he was a huge help. So what I did initially is, one, it was a lot of learning at first, but then I started to watch the veteran guys, Tyler Newman, Cody Lindenberg, how they went about their day-to-days in the facility and just modeling what they do, right, and getting with coaches as well.
Yeah, and PJ's actually said this on record that, hey, this program's not for everybody.
Right.
If you make it through, you've been tested and you are sharpened and you are going to be better for it. What is it about it? I assume that is a mix for you. What do you like about it? How does it fit what you're about?
It's the constant demand to better yourself in all areas of your life. We talk about athletically, academically, socially, and spiritually, right? Those are the four main phases of your life. And you just being able to compartmentalize your life and become a man, right? Because as student athletes here, we definitely handle a lot of things that most people don't talk about. Last fall I had a full 5-course schedule, and the demands in the classroom are the same as the demands on the field, right? So being able to just compartmentalize is the biggest thing, right? Cutting out your schedule, making sure that you're prepared for everything. But I'd say that's the biggest thing thus far.
Were you when you move from Southeastern Louisiana to Minnesota, you're moving certainly up in a division, right? And now you're on a Big Ten team. So how curious were you how your game would translate? And I don't want to say anything's easy, but it looks like it translated. You're a bona fide player here. So take me through that process.
It starts with how you prepare. Really, the preparation, we call it the unrequired, is what you're doing outside of the required hours. At the FCS level, you don't see a lot of unrequired work. You kind of just do the minimum and you get out the facility, right? But that's night and day different. I learned quickly that's not how things run here, right? So it just all comes down to preparation and how you handle yourself on a day-to-day basis. That's the biggest thing. It's not so much that it really starts with the coaching too. The coaching is night and day different. So specifically Danny Collins, he's an amazing coach. Yeah. And
he was your big recruit guy. He was a guy that kind of...
Yes, he flew down and saw me. He sat in my living room and, kind of fell in love with him from there, and it's just been awesome building that relationship with him. So I'd say that's the biggest thing is just preparation. That's what it boils down to.
Did you have any doubts about physically whether you could play, or were you wondering, I just want to test and see?
No, I wasn't, and that's part of the reason. That's part of the reason I came here was that self-belief I had. I kind of had it plotted out in my head that I would do 2 years at the FCS level, and I ended up having 2 great seasons. And I felt like after my sophomore year, I had accomplished everything I wanted to at that level, and I was ready for a new challenge, and that's part of the reason I came here. Yeah,
and you had then the COVID year too, so this is it, though. This is your final chance.
This is it.
And then you're hoping you lay down enough good film that next year we're talking about you like we're talking about Newman and some of these other guys 100%. Earning a paycheck, right?
100%, yes. They paved the way for excellence, and the model is there to follow, so I'm excited.
So take me back to this past Saturday. Devin Eastern gets a great rush on the quarterback. He's about ready to throw it, knocks the ball loose. You're Johnny on the spot. Walk me through what your responsibility is on that play, and obviously it worked great. Just what do you remember about it?
So I was blitzing off the edge, and I got a run action to my side, which means I got to set a hard edge, and I had eyes on the quarterback. I thought he was about to throw it, so I went up to mirror his throwing hand. Next thing I know, Devin Easter knocks the ball out. He came out of nowhere. I just see this blur, boom, ball's on the ground, and we practice that thing. So when the ball's on the ground, we say it's ours. So you just hop right on it.
Hop on it. And then you got I'm guessing as a defensive player, whenever you can do that, you had an interception last year as well, and we'll ask you about the pick six here in a minute. But whenever you can be part of that and impact, whether you're forcing the fumble, recovering the fumble, sometimes it might be as shielding someone so your teammate can get it too. But what's the emotion like when the defense makes a play like that?
Oh my God, it's such a thrill, just to be able to, because turnovers change games, right? So just being able to be a part of that. And takeaways are huge in the game of football. If you want to really break it down, when you start talking about the takeaway margins, right, and when the defense is plus or positive in the takeaway margin, things tend to go good as a team, right? So just being able to be a part of that is awesome. Yeah, and it just gives us a lot of hope moving forward.
And you guys had a big plus in that category in the win on Rhode Island. So now the pick six, again, looks to me, just watching it and calling it on the radio,
right.
It was there was a good pass rush, which maybe forced a little bit of an errant pass, and you're right in the right
Anthony
spot,
Smith.
right time. Yeah, put the pressure on. So walk me through, what was your coverage, what were your responsibilities, and why were you in the spot to catch that pass?
So I was in the box pre-snap. I was in the B gap, and the quarterback, I believe, thought he had a one-on-one with a cornerback to the field, and my responsibility was curl flat. So as soon as the ball snapped, I got that pass.
So are you showing like you might blitz then, and then back out?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm showing in the box, and then boom, I popped out, and I took a peek at one. I seen he was vertical, and it just so happened that I was curl flat responsibility. The receiver ran a curl, so perfect timing, perfect play, and I was there to make the play.
Yeah.
It just comes down to executing at that point.
Were you like, I got to catch this?
100%. Your eyes get real wide-eyed. It's like the moment's here, just time to execute.
Yeah.
And then once the ball's in my hands, you're thinking go, go, go.
Now that euphoria had to be even better than the fumble recovery.
100%.
You score, right?
Yeah, but that just that feeling of being chased is it's kind of unnerving. So it gives you extra motivation to just haul, get to the end zone.
You get in there and score. You had I looked it up. I think I found it. You had a touchdown return against Nichols State.
Yes,
COVID year, right?
Yes, that was early. That was 2020. It was kind of a similar play.
Was it?
Yeah, I was actually showing off the line of scrimmage, off the edge, actually, and I dropped into a hook curl position, and I was able to pick off a pass on an over route and took that to the house.
Yeah, I looked it up. It was 23 yards. I don't even know what it was this Saturday.
25, I
25,
believe.
so almost, you're right. Pretty.
So,
I bet we should try to juxtapose those two in a video sometime. Yeah. So are those your two college pick sixes, or did you have another one?
Yes, I got another one versus Central Connecticut State, I believe, in 22.
Gotcha.
I think it was early in the season.
Yep.
But it was similar. It was in the flat. It was in the flat.
You got that. You got the.
I think it was on the 12-yard line, so it was a short trip to the end zone.
Yeah.
But kind of got the curl flat.
You got it. You got that down for sure.
Yeah.
And then last year you had one down at North Carolina.
Yep.
Was that in the flat too? Trying to remember. I think it was, right?
It was we call it. I was playing top down. They kind of ran a flood concept where they shot the back out to the flat, and then they had the tight end run the 7 route, and I was just midpoint between the two. Drake May was rolling out. It was a difficult pass to make. He kind of underthrew it, and I was able to go up and get that one.
So if Drake May turns into an NFL star, you'll always have that. You'll always say, hey, I intercepted that dude when he was in college.
100%, yeah. I mean, he's a great player.
Yeah.
I mean, just as the season grew on, going back, watching his film from last year, right, because we played UNC first, just seeing how much better he got throughout the season and some of the throws he was able to make. I mean, he's just an incredible player.
Well, and I thought on that day, not to bring back that game, but his legs, he converted so many third downs on the scramble. Like 100%. You guys had him, right? You had the pressure. He had to duck out, and then there was a couple plays you needed 6 and he'd gain 8.
He was
5. He was sneaky fast.
He was a sneaky fast. That's 100%. You didn't really see it on film, but when he got to moving in person, it was like, wow, got to change the angles.
And we know about his arm, so we'll see. How it works this year. This defense, you guys pitch a shutout, whether it's Rhode Island or whoever. I mean, that's impressive. Even more impressive is this Rhode Island group was pretty good the week before. They had, the quarterback was Offensive Player of the Week in that league.
Right.
And they crossed midfield once Saturday. That's it.
Right.
A penalty pushed them back into their own territory, so they didn't end a single drive in Gopher territory. I don't know if I've ever seen that. That's got to be a feather in the cap that you guys talk about.
Yeah, they did. They say that was the first time in a long time. A lot of the coaches said that they've been a part of that. So just to be able to go out and execute how we did as a unit. You know, when you're doing that, you know, it's just not one or two guys doing their job. You know, we were all collectively doing our job. And then when mistakes were made, we call it the how is the eraser. Guys were able to fly to the football and make sure they didn't get past the 50-yard line. So to be a part of that, again, is just a big confidence booster, knowing the guys you got around you are going to execute their job at a high level.
And you obviously had a huge impact with adding points on the scoreboard, recovering the fumble. And I think you have a unique perspective. You were at the FCS level, so you know what those guys coming in are thinking. You know that mindset. 100%. Like I get a little, I don't know, bothered a little bit because people say, oh, the Gophers won 48-0, and they're, oh, well, who'd they play? It's Rhode Island. They're no good. I don't think people get it. I mean, I mean, should Minnesota win that game? Of course.
Right.
Yes, you were a 24-point favorite, but 24 is not 48.
Exactly.
You know, you guys put it to them. So take me through when you were at the FCF level, what that was like to go in and you're playing at I don't know who was all on your schedule, but
we played a couple big teams.
Yeah.
We played Florida Atlantic in 2021. We played Florida Atlantic is the biggest one I remember.
Yeah, but you go in thinking, hey, this is our shot. They think we're not 100%. Good enough to play there, and that's what these guys are doing, right?
Yes, 100%. That's our Super Bowl in our mindset. Early in the season, when you're playing these big teams, this is a time to prove, all right, we are legit, right? Not in you know, from the other perspective, you know, at the FCS level, you're hoping that the team coming into the game is quote unquote sleeping on you, right? So you can wake them up, but like I said, it's just a huge emphasis on belief, right? So as a team, we always emphasize just believing that we could beat these big teams. And another team I didn't mention earlier is we played ULL. Yeah. Was another group of 5 team we played. And then Florida Atlantic.
So did you relay any of that to your teammates this year, saying, hey, these guys are going to be, you know, they're going to be looking at us. We got a target here. We can't sleepwalk here.
100%. And the coaches emphasize that. I think more than anything is like, look, this is a Super Bowl for these guys. You know, this is a time to shock the world, so to speak. So it's a lot of motivation coming from both sides, right? So it's just interesting to see the dynamics change.
And they had kind of the reverse Jack Henderson, where you stepped up a level. Their roster was full of their Virginia Tech was the quarterback. He's a transfer from their Iowa State, a receiver. They had a couple of running backs at the high level. I think they had a Georgia Tech transfer.
Right.
So, you know, they're also, I mean, that's not a untalented roster.
Exactly. 100%.
You know, so it was a good win. Now, this defense this year, you led the team in tackles last year. Take me through what you think. And, you know, the story is still to be told. We have 2 chapters out of a 12 or 13 chapter story here. So, so far, what do you think the identity of this defense is going to be, and how might it compare to what you saw in year 1 here as a Golden Gopher?
I think we're getting way more aggressive as a defense. And as time goes on, guys are in their respective positions are getting more comfortable being on the field. And I think Coach Heatherman did a great job coming in, making sure guys were comfortable with the style of football he plays and the style that we play. So I think it's just been a phenomenal transition in this offseason, you know, working together with him as a unit and, you know, just being aggressive.
Yeah. And from that standpoint, too, how's your comfort level just in the second year? And I know the coordinators changed, but I think there was some crossover, right? I mean, this is, you know, this Shiano, Harasimiak, PJ Fleck, you know, Joe Rossi, and now Corey Heatherman kind of all have spent time, if not together, at least crossing paths.
Right.
Is there a lot the same from last year that carried over, or is there a lot that's new too?
I'd say it's about 50-50. It wasn't so much new stuff that we couldn't make the transition, obviously. And throughout the whole entire offseason, you know, Heatherman was big on taking feedback from the guys, right? And, you know, is this too much, right? Can we change this? You know, how can he always says, you know, how can I help you play the fastest that you can, right? So, and that's just awesome to see the care that he has, you know, making sure we're not uncomfortable with what he wants to do, right? So that's a huge part of it. So just being able to have that open line of communication is phenomenal, and real comfortable with what he's done so far.
Yeah, and in terms of that fine line, I suppose, as you mentioned, the coaches have of, there's depth here more probably this year than last year. You've 100%. Got some guys that you can create sub packages or specialized looks or what have you.
Yes.
The fine line between let's do all that,
right,
and maybe there's a risk that you won't be as good in any of them as if you just did 4 things,
right,
high-level elite.
Exactly.
So how do you think the coaches have navigated through that to try to make sure that you're maximizing what you have?
I think the coaches are doing a phenomenal job just seeing how versatile we can be with some of the players that we brought in and the players that we have now and how we've changed in the offseason to execute what's being asked of us. I think it's awesome. So no complaints.
Yeah, and you were the leading tackler on this team last year. There could be, I'm not saying there will be, but there could be times where, depending on the opponent, because of what the roster looks like, you might get fewer snaps than you might have previously or might have last year or what have you, just because of how it works. But it might be how everyone's skill set fits in for one particular set or one particular part of a game.
Yeah.
You might have to watch.
Right.
How does that? I mean, how do you work through that, knowing that it might be that way?
It doesn't bother me in one bit because as a player, I don't want to be in a position that makes me vulnerable, right, or uncomfortable, so to speak. So just being able to stick to my skill set and what I know best is awesome. I don't mind it at all. So it's just awesome. A lot of the guys on defense, we're a real connected unit, so none of that bothers us.
Your skills, what are you best at? You just talked about that. You want to be out there when the situation calls for your skills to be utilized. So what do you think your strength is?
Run stopping, getting off blocks, and zone coverage, and also pass rush. Those are my strengths.
Yeah, and you've got some speed to cover,
right?
But you've got some size and toughness to 100%. Go tackle a dude, right?
Right.
Yeah. Take me through how that. Where did that kind of come from? I mean, you got to have the physical tools, but it's not everyone that's going to be willing to go stick their kneecap on Hampton's legs here to tackle him against North Carolina too.
It's just a mindset, I think. You can't really coach that. We can teach the tackling circuit night and day, but at the end of the day, will you go put your face on a football? I think that just comes from, instincts. Seriously, I mean, because they say you can't coach that.
Yeah. Corey Heatherman, the new D coordinator, we've talked a little about him. What was the transition like then, and how comfortable are you now with what he wants from you guys?
The transition wasn't all that different, to be honest. He came in, I think he adapted more than we adapted, to be honest. So it wasn't bad at all.
Yeah. How's his style fit what you like?
He's aggressive. So and if I love to get after the quarterback. So I love his play style, and I like him as a person too.
Yeah. As we talk on Tuesday, it's Nevada this weekend, and so it's early. I don't expect you to know every little bit because there's still some, as you say, the unrequired time that you'll have. But what have you seen at least early here from Nevada? What will you guys need to do Saturday?
I see they run some type of triple option scheme. They have a very versatile quarterback that they use to run with and even pass with. They got two or three great backs that do a great job running downhill. And, if you give them space, they will explode and make big plays. So that's what I've seen from them so far. A lot of run. I think the past two games they've been plus 200 rushing yards. So, that's a team that loves to run the football. And we pride ourselves in stopping the run. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah. What special things and challenges does a triple option present to a defense? Your
eyes and your keys and your responsibility, right? If if they're running, you get your eyes in a bad place. Next thing you know, ball's going over the top of your head on a play action, right? So I think it's just a bare minimum thing is just your eyes. It's huge. Just being able to read your keys on a play-to-play basis and being able to execute.
Yeah, they kind of thrive in that, right? Those triple options of, 2 yards, maybe a 3 and out, another 3 and out, and then all of a sudden, boom, 62 yards. Right. Either a quarterback keeps it and no one keeps him, or, as you say, someone sneaks behind.
100%.
So if a defense is 100% disciplined, they're usually going to shut that down.
Yeah.
So the key is that, right?
Yes.
just be where you're supposed to be. All right, we're going to quickly mention one of our sponsors here. Affinity Plus is your local credit union, proudly serving Minnesota since 1930. If you're a current Gopher student or a proud Gopher alum, you are eligible to join this financial. They want to build a meaningful banking relationship and put you first. You can meet with a local employee at any of their branches statewide, including one here near campus on University, right in Minneapolis. To learn more and find other ways to connect, here's the webpage, affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. That's affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA, people-centered banking, perfect for Gophers, and they sponsor our player profile. So they have, Jack, a gift card here, a Visa gift card. We thank them for their support. Jack, thank you certainly as well.
No, thank you.
Couple questions. I want to ask you about Mandeville, Louisiana, and your upbringing and what, living in the Cajun country down there. Where is it? Give us an idea of what the town's all about.
So if you're looking at the map, it's going to be as far southeast as you can get. So we have a huge Lake Pontchartrain. That's a good focal point because there's a 30-mile bridge called the Causeway, and we're just right off that bridge.
Is it close to New Orleans then?
Yes, it's
right there.
24 miles, 25 miles to New Orleans. So, and I think it's a great location, nice suburban area. But look, you can go down, like I said, 25 minutes to New Orleans, and it's only 30 to 45 minutes to Baton Rouge. So I think you're right in the middle of, you can go down to New Orleans.
Yeah.
I mean, the restaurants, the culture down there, the Saints, obviously.
Yeah.
And then in Baton Rouge, you got more restaurants, and then you got the Tigers.
College town, yeah.
Right. So, and that's huge for the state. It's a great location. So.
And they don't mess around about their football down there.
No, they do not. No.
That is high school all the way up, right?
Right. So I want to say on any given Saturday, there's over 150 to 200,000 people from all over Louisiana driving down to Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you, how much pride they take.
Did you grow up a Tigers fan?
I did.
Yeah, I bet.
It all started with the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah, right.
And I was living in Texas at the time when he was coming up in 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
And, I fell in love with his play style. I mean, geez, he was so young, freshman, sophomore year, making some big-time plays on a consistent basis. So, I have multiple jerseys of his.
Yeah,
and,
that guy's a stud.
I even have a new one to fit me now. So
Is that right?
I don't wear it around here, but I definitely support him as a player.
Yeah.
So, yes, I do.
Yeah. So you grew up in Texas for a while, and then take me through that path.
So, yeah, I was born in Slidell, and then we took off.
Which is in Louisiana.
Yep.
Okay.
About 20 to 30 minutes north of Mandeville, and that's where my dad was born and raised. And then we took off right outside of Dallas. We lived there for 12 years, and then
another football factory place, right?
100%. Yeah. So growing up playing Little League there, all the guys I was playing with in Little League are still playing to this day. There's countless players. You got just a couple of R.J. Mickens. He's a safety at Clemson right now. We got Robbie Rochester. He plays on the line for TCU. And, Homer Bush Jr., he's in the league. He's MLB.
Yeah.
He went the MLB route.
No kidding, yeah.
Those are just, three guys I've played with that are still playing.
That were on your team?
Yeah.
Wow.
Or they were on opposing teams.
In the league,
in our same league,
yeah.
So it's just, Texas is awesome. I think got to give it credit. I think it's a great state and very competitive. So
how old were you when you moved back then to Louisiana?
I was 12. I was in 6th grade going into 7th grade.
Yeah.
So, I was, it was December.
Yeah.
December of 2012.
So then you're back. So now you're an LSU fan. I'm assuming then that means you're a Saints fan.
Yes.
So were you, I got to try to do the math here. Were you there when Katrina, or was you came in after Katrina?
No, we came in after Katrina. And actually, I do remember vividly my aunts, uncles, and grandparents coming down from New Orleans. I was too young to know what was going on, but I just remember, I'm like, man, my whole family stayed at the house. This is kind of a weird.
Because of Katrina, they came to your Texas place just to stay until that got cleaned up?
Yep.
Wow.
Darn right.
Man. And so were you too young to remember the Saints winning the World Series, or the Super Bowl?
No. I was watching that live in my living room.
Yeah.
And actually, me and my little brother were playing football upstairs, and throughout the commercial break. So, we were standing up, playing, had my Saints jerseys on, and it was awesome. I still remember that day very vividly.
And that was 2009. They beat the Vikings in the championship game.
Yep.
They had a walk-off kick, Favre threw the interception, cross body.
Yep.
Our buddy Paul Allen, who's the Vikings announcer, had a great call. It was too bad because everyone here, of course, wanted the Vikings to win.
Right.
And then, of course, the Minneapolis Miracle. I got to ask you about that. A few years later, that was a heartbreaker for you. Everybody here loved it.
Oh, my goodness. That one stung. That one stung bad.
Yeah.
Especially just...
I can still see the pain.
Yeah, I don't know who exactly, but, man, just had the opportunity. I think, was it Stephon Diggs was up in the air? Just through his legs.
Yeah.
Right?
Williams, I think. What was the guy's name? Well, he was a safety, I think, Williams. That
stung. That stung bad.
Yeah.
And especially the play that happened with the Rams, too. I think that was it. Was that after?
That was after. And that was that the pass interference?
Yes.
The non-call.
Yeah. Right. That stung, too.
Yeah, that was a heartbreaker also. You were at Southeastern Louisiana. How did that kind of shape you as well? So you come up through good high school football, certainly in Louisiana,
right?
And then your time. How did that shape you at Southeastern Louisiana?
I think it was awesome because I was able to stay close to home and, stay near my family, so I was real comfortable, right? So that was the biggest thing. But actually, when I was coming in as a freshman, we had, I think, 17 to 20-something seniors that had been there for 4 or 5 years, right?
Yeah.
So there was sort of that culture there too. But just the way they do things, they played a hard-nosed football, like I call it. So and it's not so much schematic. It wasn't a lot schematically that I couldn't handle. I believe I was able to just get on the field early and play fast and loose, kind of play how I wanted to play.
Yeah.
So I think it was awesome. I think it was a great stepping stone for me.
And you mentioned then that was kind of your plan. You were hoping, hey, it goes well, and then I can move up. The transfer portal then becomes a reality, which
right.
means you don't have to sit out a year, all that stuff.
Right.
So you enter the portal. How did that recruiting process go? I know you connected with Danny Collins and probably
right.
Joe Rossi and PJ Fleck and different people. I'm sure you had other options and opportunities. So walk me through the process of that transfer portal situation.
Right. So I hit the portal, and then next thing I know, I'm kind of like a salesman almost, so to speak. I was not expecting that. I think another thing is the window was so narrow, right? I think I only had 2 weeks to make a decision. So for 2 weeks straight, I was at my parents' house in my girlfriend's apartment, marketing myself for 7 to 10 hours, on the phone with countless schools, just trying to get my name out there, trying to get my film out there, right? And it was a lot. I was taxed a lot, so. It was all new too, right? You're just talking to just so many different coaches across the country, talking about, what they think I could bring to the table. It was a lot. It was a lot, to be honest, but I'm just so glad that it worked out the way it did.
Yeah, how did the marriage then work with you in Minnesota? How did that come about?
All I remember is getting a follow from some of the player personnel recruiters, and then next thing I know, I'm on the phone with Danny Collins, and he's saying he wants to come down and see me. And I was like, oh my goodness, like when? I can't wait. And I think he was there literally the next day.
Yeah.
So that just showed me, how serious it was that, Minnesota down to Southeast Louisiana. I mean, I was like, man, this is crazy, right? And then, I thought it was just going to be another, thing where I was like kind of marketing myself, but he showed up at my house and said, you have a lot of factors in what we look for here. And then he offered me a scholarship, and then from there I was like, this is it, right? Because in my head I was like, all right, this is the first school to really show so much interest and come see me the next day. So I gave them precedence. I said, earlier in the year, I was like, I wasn't even considering other schools at that point. I'm like, they saw the value that I bring as a player. That means so much to my heart. I wasn't going to throw that to the side. That meant so much to me as a person and as a player that I was like, this is what I want to do. And then just getting over here, I want to say it was within the next week, I was on my visit, and I just fell in love with it even further, especially after sitting down and meeting Coach Fleck as a person. He really has a lot of factors that I look up to, and I see him more as a father figure, because him and my dad share a lot of similar characteristics with the blue-collar mentality and, just getting it out the mud, some people say today.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with that. So it was awesome. I couldn't have planned it any better, to be honest.
Yeah, and here you are. The rest is history. Right. I remember Joe Rossi saying, too, it took him not very long to watch the film and say, this is a guy we got to pursue as well. And he had talked highly, and obviously he's now at Michigan State. But I think he was a factor here, and also just saying this is a guy that fits.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for those that were vouching for me, so to speak, saying, hey, I think this guy can really help for us, and I'm just extremely grateful.
So I think every time you do an interview, somebody asks you about this, the Louisiana food, the Cajun. Mm-hmm. New Orleans is such a great food town.
Yes.
Not just Cajun, but different, shrimp, how they cook shrimp down there, all kinds of,
right.
Gumbo, all that stuff.
It's like
endless options. So take me through. Have you found a adequate spot that you can get to and at least get a flavor for it?
Yeah, I want to shout out to Mr. Paul's Supper Club, because I think I think they have some of the best food that I've had down here.
That's in Edina?
Yes, in Edina. I mean, look, it is pricey, but I love food, so I don't mind paying for a good meal, right? And I think they kill it over there, bringing that Cajun cuisine to the kitchen, all the way up here, right?
What's your favorite kind of Cajun foods? Like if you could just put as we're recording here, we're at a table, if you could put 4 or 5 plates of food out, what would you have?
I'd probably have some gumbo with potato salad, nice bowl of jambalaya, and then, I'd love to have some type of seafood as well, whether that's some oysters or shrimp or crawfish. That's kind of my go-to. But, I mean, like I said, it's endless, I don't turn down anything when I'm back home,
when you grew up, was it would your family make Cajun food, or would you go out to eat, or both?
So that's what it was. That's why it's so near and dear to my heart, is my dad was always the one that was doing the big 100-gallon pot crawfish boils, so everyone in the family, friends and everything were coming to our house.
Yeah.
So that's how I grew up around it. It wasn't, I wasn't going to friends' houses. It was all at home. So just getting to see how much work and how much effort and love he put into it over the years, that's what kind of modeled me, because, growing up as a kid, your parents are typically your biggest role model,
For
right?
sure, 100%.
And, just seeing how much love and care and compassion they put into the food just made me realize, how serious it is.
Yeah.
So I think that was the biggest factor, just always having that stuff at home. When I wanted red beans and rice, gumbo, jambalaya, he made it all from scratch, and it was amazing every time.
So when you did get out to Mr. Paul's, at least it gives you a little taste of home then.
100%, right? Yeah. And I also shout out to Smack Shack. They got some amazing seafood, right? They even have jambalaya on their menu, but I was impressed with their seafood that they had. They had lobster, shrimp. Yeah. Oysters. Their oysters were delicious.
Yeah,
so
that's a good spot for sure.
I love our oysters.
On the radio show today, PJ Fleck said that your girlfriend, when she comes and visits, cooks up some Cajun food too.
Yes.
And occasionally he gets to sample it, so he's always
100%.
eager when she comes to cook. So tell me about that.
So it started when she makes these huge pots of gumbo, and look, I'm biased, but I started giving some bowls to teammates, right? Just trying to spread the culture around, because look, you can't really find it up here, right? Even in restaurants back home, if you go and order a bowl of gumbo, I'm a harsh critic, so it just doesn't taste the same as home cooked.
Yep.
Whether it's my dad or my girlfriend, right? So it all started with me just giving bowls out to my teammates, and they were just raving about it. Like, man, can I get another one? Can I get another one? So then I got the idea to bring it to the coaches, right? I think it was like the third day of camp. My girlfriend was in town, and she quadrupled her recipe.
Holy cow.
So I had about 30 to 35 bowls in a pot. So after practice, I just wheeled over this huge pot from my apartment and spread it out to all the staff, man. And, that's part of the reason why we do it. It brings people together.
It does.
Right?
Food's a great uniter, I think, right?
100%, right? Yeah. Especially for men, right? How do you get to the heart? You got to go through the stomach.
As you can tell, for me, for sure. Yeah.
That's what they say. So it's just awesome to be able to spread that around and just see the smiles on their faces just from a nice meal.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're about 17 hours by car from your home now. So when you go home, you're flying. Mm-hmm. Your parents are coming up, right? Every game, so they're not driving.
No.
But what does all that support mean that they're coming to these games wherever you're playing?
Oh my gosh, it means the world. Just because I know it's a huge sacrifice with time, right? And not only time, but actually, hauling the luggage and getting over there. Traveling's not easy by any means, especially when you're going that far. So just over time, just having that love and support with me, because, being this far away from home does get to you sometimes.
Sure.
But I think seeing them so consistently is just part of the reason that I'm able to do so well. And, not only my immediate family, right, but I got aunts, uncles coming up to see me. I got cousins flying up to see me, old high school buddies coming up, flying up to see me. So just, man, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't really describe the feeling, it just warms my heart. Knowing that I got that support system behind me.
You score a touchdown, you get the pick six Saturday, you got the fumble recovery, Gophers win 48-0. So when you come out of that door of the stadium, I'm guessing you have a little welcome group there.
Right.
What's that like when you walk out and you've put together a great game, and then they all got to watch it, now you get to spend a little time?
Yeah, it's just pure joy. It's all smiles and happiness, right? Especially a win. It's so hard to win nowadays. That the win's a great feeling, but I mean, geez, it's just such a morale booster, coming out, seeing all the smiles, everybody raving, and then knowing that you're going to have an even better time now that you're coming off a win and you made some big plays. Just morale is high all around, so it's a phenomenal experience.
Yeah. Well, it was fun watching. You've got Nevada this weekend, and then it's Big Ten play a week from Saturday with Iowa. I'd love to keep the pig in town for sure, Floyd or Rosedale. So,
yep.
Man, it was fun hearing about your background. It was fun talking football with you. Jack Henderson, our guest. Thanks so much, and let's go get a win Saturday.
Thank you so much,
all
sir.
Right.
Let's do it.
He is Jack Henderson, and it's episode 138. My thanks to Gopher football player Jack Henderson. What an impressive guy, and I know you enjoyed hearing his story and learning more about him. He's certainly a guy we can all root for. Jack Henderson will start at Nickelback again this weekend when Nevada comes to town to take on the Golden Gophers. Episode 138 is presented by Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. If you're buying or selling a business, visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com. We're also partnered with Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union, a locally member-owned full-service financial invested in you. You can learn more at affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. That's affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. They have an award-winning mobile app as well, so check that out. And Cub is a proud supporter of Gopher Athletics for over 20 years and a proud sponsor of the Go Gopher Podcast with Mike Grimm. Cub, bigger savings on the items you love. Again, I'd invite you to listen to past podcasts, and please be sure to click that subscribe button to the Go Gopher Podcast right now. It's free to listen and free to subscribe at any time. And please share the link to the podcast with others so they can subscribe and listen as well. And if you enjoyed the podcast, please give your feedback on your social media channels. We'll talk again next week.
How much can you save when you shop Cub? Let's just say you might need a bigger cart. We've lowered prices so you save more. On Essential Every Day, it's easy to see the savings. Across the aisles, from pantry products to frozen foods to delicious dairy and more. Your family will love it, guaranteed, or your money back. Shop Cub and save today. My Cub, my way. See store for details.